What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today I'm going to go over with you very rapidly everything you need to know about the endgame. Now I will have timestamps below if you want to get to any specific point, but I'm just going to give you the kind of general gear progression and the general progression of the game in case you're confused, and to, allow you to not waste as many resources, time, exalts, etc. And without further ado, let's just get straight into it here. Alrighty, so the first thing that you're going to notice here is you're going to land in this area here, in the Ziggurat Refuge. Now, you should have a tier map of 1 at this point, and you are going to just put it right in here. Now, you're going to notice a lot more smoke on yours at first, and you're going to probably see just this area here. If you toggle quests, there's going to be a bunch of quests here for you to do. And it's going to be tier 1 maps, like complete 10 tier 1 maps, complete 10 tier 2 maps, etc, etc. And we'll get into that in just a second. But now, before you go ahead and even put any tier 1 map in, I'm going to recommend going over all of the different add-ons here that I have for you. Now, the first one that we're going to go over here is going to be PoE Overlay 2. This is really good. If I click Control M here, you should be able to see anything that I'm searching for. So let's say I'm following a very specific guide. I need a bow, that does physical, lightning, and let's say cold. Then I can just search it here. Okay, there's none. Okay, what if I just want this? Okay, great, it's there. Alright, now what about not physical and just lightning and cold here? Okay, good, it's too expensive. Let's say I'm gonna go 1 to 5 divines, or exalts. Then I should go here. Okay, I want to filter by DPS, least DPS, less money, more money, whatever you want. I would recommend spending 1 to 5 exalts on just upgrading all of your gear at first. It's going to help you quite a bit, and it's going to give you the leg up, and you're not really going to fail as many maps in the beginning. Just make sure that you have synergistic stats and attributes together, and you'll learn about that more and more as you go along, but just try to follow a guide at least primarily, so that way you have as much fun as possible. One other add-on that I really like to use is going to be called Sidekick. So let's say that a quiver drops, or a better scenario is going to be a bow drops, okay? Let's say this bow dropped in the wild, and I want to see how much DPS it does compared to mine. Well, I can just click Control D right here, and it'll tell me DPS. So this is really bad DPS. So honestly, I should probably just sell this. It's pretty bad. What about this one here? This one gives me 244 DPS. Maybe not the worst. Okay, and let's compare that to mine here. Alright, so this is 525. I probably don't want to replace it. So you can use that to get a better gauge on how things are. This is also really useful for selling things. So let's say I find this ring in the wild, and I'm like, okay, cool, let's see how much it is. I can just go here. Okay, great. Let's just click these 4 for now. Okay, there's only 1 in the market. It's mine for 1 div. So let's go to 4 of these stats. Alright, well, this is 3 mirrors. That's crazy. Okay. Let's take out the max health on it. This one here is selling for 40x, 60x, 90. You can just kind of get a good price comparison so you don't get undercut, or you don't sell it for too low either. Alright, with that out of the way, let's just grab a random map that I have laying around. I have a tier 1 right here. You are going to have a map. So you are going to go ahead and click on a map here, and you're going to put it in, and there you go. And then you click traverse, and then you're going to clear the entire map. The entire objective is to kill all the rares, or the monsters with the golden names on the top. And as you go through here, you're going to notice that there's going to be a bunch of different symbols over some of them. To go very, very simply, the atlas is right here. If you hold Alt, you can see what it is. Generically speaking, the better ones are going to be Delirium and Breach. However, map bosses are also pretty good. Rituals are also very good. Actually, I'd probably put Ritual, Breach, and Delirium top together, honestly. They are all very, very good for you. At this point in time, I wouldn't worry about reforging your maps, putting exalts on your maps, putting really anything on your maps. I would fully focus on just getting through and getting to tier 15 as fast as possible. Now, I do realize that you probably do not have your 3rd and 4th Ascendancies at this point. As you can see here in the passive tree, I have 8 points, so that means every Ascendancy point gives you 2, so you can see I have 4 right here, just to keep it super simple. So don't worry about that for right now. We are just going to focus fully and utterly on getting to tier 5 to 6 maps at this point in time. Now, when you get to tier 5 or 6, at this point, you should be around level 70-ish, as you were probably around level 60 to 65 when you started the maps. When you get to level 70, you are going to go ahead and redo your gear again fully. You're going to be spending about 10 to 20 exalts on all of your items again. Now, at this point in time, and even honestly earlier, which I didn't really mention too well, you are going to want to have your resistances capped at 75. Your chaos does not need to be at 75 just yet. So for example, this is the ring I normally use, so you can see I'm pretty close to the cap. I was just trying out something with my gear, so I'm not going to be quite there for most of these. So you can see right here that the resistances are pretty much at 75. Now, one thing to keep in mind is as you go later and later into the game, you are going to be clearing maps like this that you can see here, and I'm pretty much not getting hit by anything. However, on the off chance something does off-screen you and hit you, you do want to be able to survive it and not just waste the entire map, as if you do die once in the map, your journey is over. So at this point, you are going to just keep going on and on and on until you get to tier 10 maps. At this point, if you're on PC, you're going to click Control and U to pull up the World Atlas map. If you are not, you are going to go down here and get it from here, the Atlas skill tree. These are going to be given, you're going to get points in this every single time you complete a tier of maps. So tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 15. And the general progression that I'd like to do this in is going to be, I actually like the quantity of items first. So I went rarity, rarity, rarity of Waystones, which is really important, quantity. Then I actually went up here and did rarity, quantity of Waystones, rarity, 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 and quantity. Got this rarity. Then I went along to increased pack size. Now, pack size is basically just how many monsters are together in one pack. This is really good. I went to rares, quantity, pack size. Did all of this, magic, and pack size. Next, I went down here, quantity of Waystones, and then into rare and unique monsters, have one or two additional modifiers. This is because the more modifiers a rare or unique monster has, the more loot it drops, basically, really simply. Your last 3 points, you can just go ahead and put into more Waystones. This is going to help you just kind of keep up the progression loop without having to go and buy them, or, you know, pick up every single piece of gear on the ground, or, you know, do anything like that, right? And the last one is going to be the monster packs. Next, we're going to get into your Precursor Tablets. To explain this very simply, there's a few different variations of the tablets. You're going to have the Overseer tablets here. It basically makes any maps in the range of that tower contain bosses. So 4 maps in the area of the tower will have a boss, and then you have your suffix modifier. So let's say this one here, for example, does not have any modifiers. We can actually go ahead and just upgrade that. So just those 2 here. But now 8% increase gain in my maps. So that's in the entire vicinity of that tower, as well as the map boss has a 12% chance to drop a Waystone of the current tier or higher. So if we go to the map device, let's just grab a tower that I have not put anything into. So let's grab this one here, for example. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this in here. This is obviously after you finish the tower, not before. So for example, before, it's going to give you a regular thing like you would be doing a regular map. This one is, you know, just a singular little thing to put in here. Next, you're going to click Influence, and you're going to see some of the maps actually turned out with having some, you know, bosses on them. So as you can see here, there are some bosses now that spawned in on some of these points, which is really good. And also, if you notice, there is now an 8% experience gain, as well as a map boss has a 12% chance. So you can see the modifier right here. And now you notice everything in this vicinity, so everything in this circle You're going to see a few different circles because there's so many towers close together. I apologize for that. But just look after this one here. So this one extends all the way up to here. As you can see, all these maps that I have not finished before actually go ahead and have those modifiers in them now. Now, one word of warning for you on the precursors is that a lot of the times you are going to have people try and beg for your ritual altars. These are needed for later in the game, and I'll get into that a bit later. You just keep in mind, you don't get rid of any tablets at all. Just organize them nicely and go ahead and make sure they have their two additional stat lines on them, and you are good to go. Next, we're going to talk about modifying maps and increasing map value. So for example, let's just grab some currency. So you can see here, if you click on this one, you're going to notice that two of them pop up. Because they're white, they don't have any additional modifiers on them. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. Now, if you want to do multiple things, as a word of note, you can hold down Shift and you can actually do them. You can do it for multiple ones. So these two, for example, now have additional modifiers. You can also regal them, and now they're all rare. You can also exalt them, meaning, let's say there's some particularly good qualities on a map, and to break that down super simply, the most valuable ones are going to be experience, followed by probably experience. So as you can see here, this one has a 26% experience gain. This one has a 27% experience gain. Great. So I want to juice this up further because maybe I want to get some rarity on it as well as quantity of items on it as well. Alright, so that did magic chest, that did armored, this did rare chests, okay, and that's all I can put into this for now. Alright, what about this one? Can I do this one more? No, I can't. Alright, so now you have your basic, fully, I like to say zooted out maps, okay? I don't know if that's the correct terminology, I just like saying that word. Obviously, I don't really recommend putting in a ton of modifiers. You can just have straight up maps that are just rarity and that's it. You're gonna see this one only has experience, that's really good. This one here has quantity and rarity. This one here has quantity and rarity, so there's no other modifiers besides that. But now you notice that this one here and this one here, this one has a 95% chance to drop a Waystone, whereas this one does not. That is because monsters deal 31% of extra cold damage, so you're buffing the monsters to get a better return on your Waystone drop chance. So that means that you'll have potentially more Waystones dropping for you. So this one doesn't, so I might not be able to get any Waystones from this map unless I zoot it up a little bit better, upgrade it, but maybe I will. This one, you can see the same thing. So this one has 104 rarity. That's really, really good as well. And that's pretty much the basic of what you want to know. Now, when you get to tier 15 maps, which is pretty much like the beginning of the end game, I would say, you have some options that you can do. So you are going to find around here the deliriums, right? With deliriums, you are going to get these disskilled guilt, ires, and sorrow. There's a few other ones of them, right? There's just a bunch of different colors, okay? Greed, disgust, envy, paranoia, whatever. These can also be used. So let's go here and right-click this. I can actually increase and modify this tier stone. So let's go ahead and instill this. So now it is instilled. That makes it even more good, especially because I have experience on it, so that's great. Next, I want to put a Val Orb in, because I want to get it to maybe tier 16. So unfortunately, it didn't go tier 16, however, it added a whole bunch of modifiers on it. So this is probably worth actually quite a bit. If I don't run it myself, I'll probably just sell this off for, you know, a pretty penny or two. And, you know, you continue doing that. Now, once you finish doing all of your tier 15 maps, your next order of business is going to be Citadels. All right, so as you can see right here, there is a shining light in the distance, and that is actually going to be a Citadel. Now, Citadels, when you find them, look something like this. So as you can see here, you have the iron, you have the copper, and you have the stone Citadels, and they're all different bosses that you already beat earlier on. So these are going to be your more difficult bosses. Now, I would recommend using tier 15 maps without too many modifiers on them at first, until you get a hang of it. There's tons of these around. I think I've done like 15 or something like that Citadels in total. So once you get all 3 of these Citadels done, you're going to go to the Burning Monolith. Now, before you go into the Burning Monolith after you defeated the 3 Citadels, I would severely recommend going, if you haven't done this already, would actually just be to go and buy a bunch of things. You should have, you know, hopefully at least like 1 or 2 Divine Orbs. I know I only had 1 by this point, but you should have, if you haven't been wasting them, you know, about 100 or so Exalted Orbs. Now, with these 100 or 200 orbs, hopefully you have 200, you are just going to go ahead and buy a whole new set of gear, just buy upgrades, and once you finish that, you are going to go ahead and get your Ascendancies done. So the way this works is you are going to grab a Jinbaria or an Inscribed Ultimatum. You are going to notice that there are different numbers of trials on these, as well as different area levels. So for example, this level 74 with 7 trials is going to give me my 3rd Ascendancy, and anything which has 10 trials is going to give me my 4th Ascendancy. Same thing with the Jinbarias, the 3 trials. Now the easiest way of telling if it's going to give you an Ascension point or not is because it's going to say right there in yellow letters, completing this trial will grant an additional Ascendancy skill point, so keep that in mind. You can also buy these off the trade site. Now, the difference between the Trial of the Sekima or the Trial of Chaos is pretty big, I would say, honestly. The 3rd Ascendancy is going to take much less time than the 4th, and it's going to be much less hard. So this is going to take you, for the Trial of the Sekima, take you about probably 30-40 minutes, give or take, your first time if you do succeed. And the Trial of Chaos 3rd Ascendancy will probably take you about 15 minutes. Now, I personally would recommend doing this one over this one, but it's really just up to you on what you want to do, because it's, you know, your life and stuff. Now, as for the 4th Ascendancy, I, again, would go Trial of Chaos. It's my personal preference. These take about 15-20 minutes, even including the last boss. And these, realistically, if you're like a newer player, it's going to take you 30 minutes, but if you're a pro or like really got a good build going on, it's going to take you like 15 minutes. So it really just depends on, you know, how you are as a player, and that's pretty much that. Now, when you have your 3rd and 4th Ascendancy point, obviously go back, defeat the Pinnacle of Flame. Alrighty, so now that you've defeated the Arbiter of Flame, you have now officially entered into the actual end game content. So we're going to go into this into kind of 2 different parts here. There are different things to do. Specifically, there's like 6 things to primarily do. If you open up your Atlas tree again, you're going to see there are these little symbols on the side. And these correspond with certain things that you can do that are even harder than the Arbiter of Flame, and also include the Arbiter of Flame. So let's just kind of break these down very fast and what to do and how to do them. So the first one that we're going to go over here is going to be the breaches. So the breaches are going to get points when you actually open up a Breachstone. So let's just go through here really fast. We have to obviously buy the endgame material from her, or you can just farm it out in your maps. Like we said before, you can do the breach splinters and whatnot. So I do have a Breachstone on me, but let's just see the price of them. So you can either buy 300 breach splinter fragments. I think they're going for like 1 or 2 X per, which is not too bad. And this is between 120 and 140. Okay, that's pretty high right now, but that's all right. So when you do this, you're going to go to your map device. You're going to peep here, click on Realm Gate, and then move it over as you would a regular map. Then the end boss in there will drop a skill book, at which point you just pick it up, and then you can allocate the points here. And every time that you do it with having your points allocated, it's going to make it harder and harder, to which point you'll get to 8 out of 8. Next, we have Expedition Logbooks. Now, the Expedition Logbooks are purchased from the trade site, Now, as you can see here, it says defeat Orloth in logbooks to earn points in this tree. Now, who is Olroth? Well, Olroth is going to be found in the actual expeditions themselves. You're going to need a level 79 or above to get in there. Now, these are unfortunately selling for about 100x to about 150 or about a divine. It just depends on who's selling and who's buying. However, you can get them from here. Next, you're going to have map boss skill points acquired. This is going to be slay a boss in an area. This is basically just as you go through your maps, you are going to, let's say this one for example, I'm going to throw a 15 in there, and it says monster level 79. So if I have a boss there, then it should be level 79 and give me the points there, but for some reason mine's not working, but that's besides the point. Next is going to be the Arbiter of Ashe, same thing as before. The Burning Monolith, you defeat him one time, and then you can go ahead and just start allocating points into here. Again, it's going to get more and more difficult each time. However, you do need to gather the 3 fragments again. Now you can either farm out your own citadels, or you can just buy them directly from here. However, they are really, really expensive. I think they're like, yeah, 180, 160 each. So this is probably the most expensive one. Besides one more, which I'm going to get to at the end. Next, we have the Simulacrum. The Simulacrum is going to be the Delirium breaches, kind of like the foggy gray people that you have to go through. Similar thing, you get the splinters, you make it. However, this is much harder, especially with certain builds. With other builds, much easier. And the last one, and I would say the most difficult to do, is going to be the Crux of Nothingness. Now this is gotten from getting the audience with the king. It's going for, what is that, 8 divines? Yeah, 8.5 divines right now per one. We're not going to get into why, but they're basically good items draw from it. They sell for like 200 divines right now, so there you go. In terms of difficulty, you are going to want to do breach skills. You're going to want to do the breaches. Then I would honestly do these here. Then I would do expeditions, or these ones. Then I would do the Arbiter of Ashe, and then I would come down and finish this one. Hopefully the prices come down by that point. And that's pretty much all we got for you guys today. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you have any questions or if I left something out, please go ahead and comment below. And besides that, peace out for now.